from the battering it took and the conditions of the sea last night, which I don't know, some people seem to think suggested it might actually push it past that failure point. Do you have any idea of from how well it held up last night, of how well it could hold up for the next couple of days?
Well, as I was saying before, the ship hasn't actually changed its aspect or its position any more than what it has had or what it's doing right now over the past few days. Yes, it is receiving heavy weather right now. We'll continue to monitor it, but there's no additional cause for concern other than the condition of the ship has been in for the past few days.
Are you able to tell us how wide the crack is, the starboard crack, and whether that's in fact widened?
No, we cannot. You can only see that from the aerial view that you've seen on the footage so far. At the present moment, we know the crack is there. There's nothing we can do about that crack. However, we are working on the port side of the ship, which is where the fuel oil is, and that's our first and utmost priority right now. The crack isn't there. Is nothing we can do about that right now, so we'll just work with what we can.
Do you know whether those cracks though have widened?
Well, you can see over the past of the day since the last storm that the crack has continued down the ship's side, but beyond that, no.
How frustrating is it for your whole team that it takes so long? I know it's the weather and everything. How frustrating is it?
It's a stall. It's a situation that we do deal with casualties given the bad weather. We try not to be impeded by the frustration or by the delay. We use our time wisely, and we'll make sure that our equipment and our personnel are ready to go when the time allows. So we try not to dwell on frustration. This is the nature of salvage. This is an accident in progress. We will be standing by and ready to move as soon as that weather abates.
Drew, how calm does it have to get before you can start pumping again?
That will be up to the team that are on board at the time, between the master of the product tanker and the team that are on board the ship at the time. When the weather calms down, particularly the swell, allows us that we can safely manoeuvre the product tanker, into that position and safely connect it up, and that we can preserve the bunker fuel line. Then we'll move. So that's up to the personnel who are doing it at the time.
So a lot of the locals here are finding it hard to believe there's a 4 metre swell out here when Able is only really 1.6 and the swell on the beach is only 2 foot.
Yeah, the weather that you can see here from the shore certainly does give the appearance of being different to what's out there. But our team that are on board and are monitoring around the ship on the other vessels that we have are reporting back the weather that they are experiencing. They are experienced sailors, master mariners and chief engineers, marine personnel, and I trust in their judgment, those who are on board right now, as to whether it's safe to move in or not. And at this stage, they say it's not.
Is there any information you can give about the ship that's arrived to take the containers off the Rena?
The ship that we have chartered in to assist with the transfer of containers off the ship. It's a small general purpose ship. It has a particular style to it with the cranes that are on board, which will assist us to maximise the reach onto the ship. We're not saying at all that ship is the one and only means of actually assisting with removal of cargo, but that ship was very close by. It was working and trading in New Zealand at the time, so hence that's why we've chartered the ship, so that we can have it here ready to assist.
And it doesn't have a time frame for how long it can be here for, maybe for as long as you need?
At the present moment, that ship is chartered to us, and whilst it maintains usefulness to us to actually perform a discharge of cargo, we will keep it here with us. Excuse me. The ship was trading in New Zealand at the time. I couldn't tell you where it was prior to the incident, but it was heading into the Port of Wellington, and we took the ship on charter after that.
And the way the containers are on a lead at the moment, will it mean that only a percentage of the containers be able to be removed, or all the containers?
We're working on a plan at the present moment for the removal of cargo containers. As I said before, the ship that we've brought in is not the one and only method that we'll use to remove the containers. The removal of the containers that we need for the ship is a work in progress, but we do have other means that we're working on now to come in and we continue that work after that ship has gone past its usefulness.
When the reattaches, the pumping, the pipes and things are all put together again, do you have to reprove the pumping system from square one, or are you able to come in at a further step down the proofing system? We can come in at a step down from that. However, we do have to reinstall the hoses into place. We're taking them out as a precautionary measure to make sure that they are preserved. That is not a major long-term issue to resolve, but it will take some time, and that's part of the preparatory work that
going on out there today, but once we are ready to put those hoses back in, we'll be underway.
Is a floating dry dock an option at all for holding back in?
A floating dry dock, at this stage I would say no. It's not, at this stage of moving a piece of a floating dock like that into that position is not what I would consider an option right at this moment.
If there are no further questions, I think we might leave it there.
I got one for Ian actually.
Oh, one for Ian?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Ian, what's the? Do you guys have a plan for removing the oil off the rocks around the mountain and Leisure Island?
Yep, we've got a plan in place to progressively remove the oil. There's two options for that. We can get in there with sorbent material and dab the oil off, or we can use low pressure, high volume washing to remobilise the oil into containment and recovery pools.
Is there a reason why that oil's been sitting at the base of the mount for a week now?
The weather's hampering us as well, and we've been concentrating on the sandy shorelines. We'll concentrate on the rocky shorelines progressively now that the sandy bits have been cleaned up. I haven't heard that, but I have heard there's a lot of container debris which is stretched out to the east as far as East Cape, so it could possibly be that some of that is container debris.